A consistent problem I see in Gorilla Tag and the new maps is that the maps are too big. They're too long. Gorilla Tag players and players with short attention spans, which is probably everyone, they are going to want to go upwards. They're going to want to scale upwards, not across. You get all these entrances into the new maps, and they're very long tunnels, and they have to be long so that it gives the player the ability to unload the previous map to reload the next map. Because they're so long, people get bored. They get bored by the time they try and reach the maps because they're so far away in distance from each other. You enter this space and it looks a bit weird. You don't know what you're looking at. Goodness knows what hover park means. I didn't even know what it meant when I first looked at it. And you look down here and it looks like the beginning of a horror map. You come down here and then you get this massive expanse of space. It's so huge, and you only get about 10 players in a lobby maximum. It takes such a long time to get from one end of the room to the other. And once you're at the other end of the room, you're like, oh, well, where's the computer? Well, the computer's all the way back over there, which is going to take you forever to get to. There's not even like any monkey bars or parkour, which could be across the walls here. That could make it a bit more entertaining. There's just this with the hoverboard mechanics. But there's only so far just mechanics can get you. If the place that you have the mechanics is just so kind of just this expanse of just emptiness. You come into here, there's a few more assets, but they just look like completely random assets from different parts of the game that have just been slapped in this massive room. And it's another huge oversized room again, and it's split between that one and that one. And then the nearest computer is all the way over there. You know, there's so much running on the floor. And the thing is, Gorilla Tag players and the locomotion of the game, it's not going to be utilized by distance in width. It's going to be utilized by length. That's why so many people like Forest. Forest is evenly filled up with assets. Whereas this, look at this. That's very lazy. Completely random. You know, some of the maps in Gorilla Tag is like being in the back rooms. You know, they're so random and you don't know what you're going to walk in on. And that's kind of fun. But then when you walk in on and it's just like massive exaggerated amounts of space, it takes you such a long time to get from one place to another. People with short attention spans and the player base of this game are going to lose interest by the time they actually get to where they want to go. You know, those maps that you get, you know, where you shrink down really small and everything's really big. But it's just every map is starting to feel like this, and I'm not sure why this is the route that they're taking. It's like they think that by making the maps larger, that players will spend more time getting to places and therefore have more playtime on the game. But that's not the case. They're just going to get disinterested before they actually get to where they want to go. So now I've got to make my way all the way back to the computer, which is so far away. There doesn't need to be this much space for what it is. It discourages socialization as well, because you'll get people one end of the room and the other end of the room, and they'll be shouting or screaming at each other, or someone will be really far away in that room, and there's just no socialization either. There's a lack of communication, an excess amount of space. Getting to everywhere is going to take a really long time, and there's no entertaining kind of stimulation with your arms apart from just a consistent repetitive movement of going forward or backward to reach where you want to go. And that is not going to be enough for people that want to play this game. This whole thing down here is so random. This whole kind of hoverboard area would be much better under city, and if it was shrunk and small, much smaller. You know, the assets don't need to be so big. The space and expanse of it doesn't need to be so big. People want to be able to communicate with each other and to find each other and to play with one another. But with spaces this big and only player maximum rooms with 10 people aren't going to be interested anymore. The elevators are a really good way to get from different maps, but there's only about 3 or 4 maps available that you can actually access within the elevator stump. But if every map could be accessed by an elevator, people would be way more interested in actually going to those maps. You come to beach and it's once again a very long tunnel so that you can unload forest and reload beach. It gives you some idea as to what to expect from the beach because you have the little introduction of the zip line and the rope, but then you come into here and it's really dark. You can barely see anything. The water from the waterfall is a bit too loud, so when you talk to other people in the game, you can barely hear them. The good thing about Beach is that they have really made the most of the space. It's a very big space, but they have filled every single bit of this space with interesting, entertaining things. So you've got the little beach huts, you've got the ruins, you've got all the zip lines that crisscross against each other, you've got these little platforms, you've got the pirate ship, you've got things going on in the water, you've got plenty of ropes, plenty of zip lines. So they have made a really good job of utilizing the space in this map. And obviously you get the bouncy umbrellas as well. Currently I can't hear that water running, even though I should be able to hear it from here. And I should be able to hear this as well, but there's no noise. And it shouldn't be as loud as that waterfall. And also another unique mechanic of this map is the volleyball. Especially with the fact that the maps are getting larger and larger, should have at least 2 computers. One at one end of the map and then one at the other end. An elevator could go here or there. It's such a long way to get here. And that could actually mean that developers can focus less on making an entrance to the map itself and more on just creating the map. You got all these long tunnels that go on and on and on. And by the time people get where they want to go, they're bored. Because you can't block people, you have to mute them. But then if someone who you've muted just changes their name and then you find them in a lobby like a few days later, you're going to wonder, who is this random person I've just muted? And that's why muting is not really efficient unless there is a restriction on name change. Maybe someone could only change their name once a month. I think once a month would be good. Players love to feel like what they've got is valuable and rare, so advertising in Forest is not going to make people want to buy this because they're going to be like, oh well, it's obviously not very rare, everyone could get it. It looks cool, but it's right here, everyone could get it whenever. So what's so valuable about it? Yeah, there just needs to be more places to go to. Like this text needs to be smaller, these buttons need to be smaller, and then it needs to be shrunk down, there'd be more. The unique mechanic of clouds is of course the gliders. You can glide around, you can fly. The thing about clouds is that, once again, you only get 10 people in a lobby. And for players as small as this, 10 people in a lobby is not going to fill up a room. It's not going to fill up the space, even with gliders. It's so unbelievably huge in comparison, and I feel like I'm a little person again. I feel like I shrunk down mini, and that everything is regular size, and that I'm just tiny, and that is not correct. That shouldn't be how it feels. There's not even any bounce in these clouds. But anyway, the old map with the mechanics of the gliders would be really perfect, and it was about medium sized. It was about half the size of this map. And it was a good size, 10 players could fit up the room, and it would still not be completely crowded. It's just like, I don't really know what I'm looking at. I'll go up there, but then I'll be super far away from where everything happens. So, you've got this problem again with clouds, with being too large, an exaggerated amount of space for the size of the player, and then people just get bored because they don't want to make all of the distance. All kids love only up. They love it. They love playing only up in Fortnite, they love playing only up in Roblox, they love playing only up in Gorilla Tag. And the mechanics of the game should utilize coordination because of the locomotion. But when you have maps that are just about walking on your hands repetitively over and over again, people are going to get bored and understimulated, and they're just going to leave before they actually find out what the mechanics of the game utilizes. You've got that advertisement in Forest, but then you come into here and then you see this massive kind of advertisement here, right? It's too much advertising. And soon people are going to clock it. They're going to be like, oh, this is just a money-making game, which of course it is. Every game needs to make money. But, you don't want people to realise that. But this is like, you've got a massive advertisement, practically impossible to ignore. And then if this wasn't enough, you've also got it in Forest. It's just going to make people feel like it isn't a rare item, and it's not going to make people want to buy it. Sometimes it's fun finding hidden items. Finding hidden items that are for sale are going to make people feel like it's more valuable. So if you have it right here, then it's just going to be like screaming at you, and then you're going to be like, well, everyone's just going to get it, so why would I want to buy it? It's another quite long distance, but it's a bit more entertaining, because you got some unique things happening on the walls. The slopes make it easier and faster to move, so I think that's always a good idea, is slopes. The unique thing about this map is the assets, rather than the mechanics. You've just got the billboards. The billboards are the unique thing. Obviously, the billboards are not going to be stimulating enough for people to actually want to be in this map. It's because you've got a train track. What would be really good would be to have a train that goes all the way along this map, and you can hold onto it and it moves along with you. It drags you along while you hold onto it, a bit like the shark in Beach. But this is just another example of a very oversized, exaggerated space of a map. You've got 1 or 2 ropes, which of course is a recycled mechanic of beach and canyons. So people aren't going to be coming here for that. There's no train, it's just assets. It's a map full of different assets that you can't find anywhere else, but that's all it is. No unique mechanics, nothing really kind of grasping the attention span and making people think, oh, this is unique, I can't get this anywhere else. This map could do with just being smaller, so it's easier to scale. Because people like that they can scale things. They can get to places quickly, get from one end of the room to the other very quickly. And they like that they can go upwards as well. And that's why the buildings are good, because you can go upwards, you can climb on them and you can go upwards quite a lot and be high up. There's just without any other unique mechanics, it's just a bit boring. Because it's all too spread out, it's too far apart. Station needs an elevator, as well as the fact that instead of slopes, it could do if there's an escalator would be really good, because in underground stations in London, things like that, you get escalators that take you down, far down, like you want. And the escalators would make it more interesting. Like, oh yeah, this really is a station because I'm on an escalator. You know, escalators are known for taking people to stations that are underground. And then of course you don't even have a train in the train station, which doesn't make sense. So people aren't going to be stimulated or satisfied with that result. So they're not going to come down here. So we go to Critters, right? And Critters is another very long tunnel, you know, which could do with having an elevator, and it's massive. Look at all of this stuff that you've got to scale, right? It's all just walking. You know, there's these tiny little creatures that you collect, and the space is so big so that they can be spaced out, but they don't need to be. Like, it's too... People that are playing this game for the locomotion are not going to be playing it so they can do loads of distance on the floor. They want to climb in the trees like a monkey. You got trees in this map, but they're no good because they're not close to each other, so you can't jump from one to another. It's just the trees is too spread apart, the map is too spread apart. There's so much distance, so much walking. You go and you do this to try and get somewhere, and you see somewhere interesting and you head towards it only to find it's the same assets that you've seen before. And this is not good. This is not a good environment for someone with a low attention span, which is all kids today that play this game. I also mentioned this map is like, it's out of the way, the tunnel makes it out of the way, it's right next to mountains, so people are just gonna be like, would rather go to mountains. Pyramid over there, but the only thing inside that pyramid is a random cardboard box VR headset that you can't even put on, and a fireplace, which is so random, and it's a recycled asset. But yeah, there's nothing here apart from collecting these critters, which you have to go so far away to do. And they don't need all this space. Got all those rocks up there. I've not actually been up near the rocks because it's so far away. It's the same repetitive movement that is consistent, and people are going to get bored with that. People with low attention spans are going to get bored with that. See, here would be a perfect place for a volcano. I don't know if there is a volcano. But there should be an entire volcano map. I think instead of releasing massive oversized maps, there should be smaller ones. Smaller, more frequent ones with different themes and different assets that are unique to that map. Because that would grasp people's attention, because it means they can go to one place for one specific thing, and then they can go to another place for another specific thing, without having to think, oh yeah, well, I can just get this somewhere else. Part of the fun of this game is seeing yourself and other people in the virtual reality. It'd be a really perfect place for a volcano, but there probably isn't even a volcano up here. Just this random cabin. And with a bone. Oh, I don't like that. What is down there? Well, let's find out. See, what is this? This is so random. I'm undersized. Like, the map is oversized. Hold on. Let me show you. Look at this. See? I'm tiny. I'm teeny tiny. I don't think people want to be teeny tiny everywhere. I don't want to be teeny tiny everywhere. Like, where on earth is this? Where am I going? And I've made it all this way, and a computer is not going to be in sight anywhere. So I've got to make it all the way back to get to the computer if I want to leave. Or the elevator. Like, I don't have access to an elevator. And goodness knows how I'm going to get back up. But this is going to take me ages. See, nothing down here. I made it all this way just for there to be nothing down here. And they could have done a volcano, but they haven't. It's too quiet. Don't like it. I feel like I should keep recording for my safety in case something scares me. Where did I even come from? I came from up... See, why am I tiny? I'm teeny tiny. It doesn't make sense. You know, no one's going to be entertained by this. They're going to be bored. They don't want to scale the same surfaces over and over and over again. They want parkour. They want only up. They want different mechanics. They want gripping mechanics, ropes, zip lines, swimming, slides, things that get their character moving and utilising their arms in different, unique ways that isn't the same stuff and repetitive. Kids are so easily bored nowadays. Have I gone down there? I kind of want to see what's around here. There's nothing here. You know, it's like, what is this? Who was thinking of this? This doesn't utilise anything. This doesn't bring any new mechanics to the game. It's just space. Just pure space. Like the back rooms. Like I was saying, the back rooms. Very bizarre. Very random. And it's a shame because Gorilla Tag has so much potential. And I don't want to put it in a bad light. I really don't. You know, I want to encourage people to play this game, but it just hasn't got the player space or the server sizes to fill up all of this space in the game. This whole place, including the surface and wherever this is You can't access it through an elevator, you have to do it by distance, and you only get 10 people in every room. So, it's just not... It's not right. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't utilise the mechanics and locomotion of the game in a way that stimulates people. Yeah, Critters is definitely like the most prime example of an ill judgment of space. Players don't want to travel in width, they want to travel in length because of the locomotion of the arms. They want to feel like a monkey, they want to go up into the branches, they want to go and swing on things and zip line on things and do things in ways that are unique and require persistent coordination and stimulation. I come all this way, and it's just another shed. And there's 2 more very far away, and there's not a computer in sight, there's not an elevator in sight, and it's just a poor use of space. And it could do with a lot of improvement. This game could do with a lot of improvement. I don't think people are interested in feeling tiny. You know, the tiny stuff was fun because it was in contrast to the stuff that was the appropriate big size. You know, there's no parkour, there's just rocks. For instance, I can't be charging my headset while I'm in this place because I have to go so far with my arms, and I need all of the room I can get in my space. And especially a new player who's just joined Gorilla Tag is not going to be interested, is not going to like this place because there's so much distance, and it's just not the monkey way. If I'm honest, it's not the monkey way. But basically, it looks ridiculous, and everything is completely out of proportion. There's no consistent size that makes sense to the character in the game, and that's just like bad, I'm afraid. Now, mountains. Mountains is another one that has a pretty long tunnel. Not quite as long as some. The unique thing about mountains is that it's mainly always stayed the same, and the unique mechanic in this map is the sliding and the slides. You know, the slopes, the slides, the slipping around, and the moving fast. And people like that. Like I said, people have bad attention spans and they want to get to places quickly. So mountains is a way better map than a lot of other ones because they can get to places quickly. I'm not a fan of the veins, the blue veins that the snow suddenly has. I'm not sure who thought that was a good idea, but it looks a bit weird. Snow doesn't look like this, really. And I like that you can create bigger snowballs now, but what would be good is if you could make snow monkeys or snowmen in the ground, since you can make snowballs. Or if you could create a snowball and you could roll it with your hands. That would be another mechanical thing that would be unique to this map that people would come here for. This map would make sense to have a log cabin in with a campfire, but I don't see any of that anywhere. But yeah, snowballs, snowmen, rolling snowballs, the mechanics in that, people would be obsessed with that, you know? Like in Animal Crossing, when you roll up snowballs to make snowmen, but instead you're doing it in virtual reality and you're using your hands. I mean, people would absolutely love that. I would love that. You know, it requires coordination. It's that thing again. It requires coordination, focus, and you're interacting with the environment around you. People like mountains, and I can't argue with it. It's one of the better ones. You know, they've utilised the space much better. Very well. They've got trees that are near enough to each other so that you can actually jump from one tree to another. The slides are really good because you can put yourself up higher than other people and you can, you know, scale above as well as below and slide fast. It's a really good map, and I think there should definitely be some inspiration from this map when thinking about other maps. However, this is another map that should have the elevator. All maps, like I said, deserve to have an elevator that goes to them. Another thing is this area here is kind of blocked off. I'm not sure why. This obviously used to be the entrance to city, but I don't know whether they plan to do something else with it, including another big tunnel or a different kind of snowy map, maybe with hot springs. Hot springs would be really cool. Cabins, more pine trees that are close together, that there's lots of them. People are going to love that. So it's like a second forest, but instead it's got snow. And then you can roll up snowballs. That'd be another great way, and that's something you could do with this room here. But obviously everything should have an elevator going to it because people will just get bored and they'll realise there's too many tunnels. Like, why are we going through all these tunnels? Can we just get an elevator? I want to go to this map with my friend. I can't bother to get there. The waterfall is a bit too loud again, as usual, a bit like beach. You come down here. You don't really know what you're looking at. You're not sure what to expect. The crystals make a noise, which is lovely. But then, if you come into here, you've got the crystal piano. The crystal piano is what is unique to this map, apart from, obviously, the bats. The bats are not like something you can use that will advance your gameplay or entertain you. You know, the bats, you just grab them and hold them, they make a little noise, that's it. But this, you can create different songs, it stimulates the brain, requires coordination. This is what is unique to the Caves map. But obviously, it's very far away, so new players are not going to know where to find this. They're not going to know that this is what's waiting for them in the caves. They're going to see it, they're going to be like, oh, that looks a bit big, a bit scary. I'm just going to go away. I'm just going to go to a different map that has things more obvious, because people have a low attention span. I'm someone who likes to explore maps, but I'm finding that the more I explore them, the less mechanics they are providing. It's just you explore, you get to a certain point, you look for something, and it's not there anymore. And then once you're bored with this, you know, it takes a long time to get back up. And so people are just probably don't want to come back down. People don't want to come down here. But the caves is this is a beautiful map. It does do a good use of the space. You got all these nooks and crannies and different levels, and you got all these purple beautiful crystals, and you got the little watery damp bits. And I love this. I love that they've used, like, you know, utilize the fact that this is a damp watery cave. There's not any sound of flowing, like a river flowing, and if there is a river flowing, it should be a very subtle noise that's not too loud. Oh yeah, you've got it here, right, which is probably a bit too loud as well, but it should still be here, the sound, and it should also be down here as well. And also a good sound effect as well is a light bulb, like a light bulb when it goes tss, tss, like it kind of flickers a little bit. That's also a really good sound effect I think could be used in this cave environment. Yeah, this is a very unique place, and it definitely provides a lot of good opportunity for tag and hide and seek. The main crystal piano down there is very far away, and I don't think most people will know that it's even down there really, and they'll be disinterested before they even reach it. You know, this entire thing should be making a flowing water noise. And obviously they've tried to do the same thing here, where you have a surface above that goes above the map, and this is really good, but it could do with going across here as well, rather than just one line, because people are going to be bored with that, and they've already got the crystal to go on top of, so they're not going to be thinking much about that. As you can tell, it's another long tunnel into canyons. The mechanics in canyons are zip lines and ropes, but these zip lines and ropes are very distanced from one another, which means people might not be able to get what they can get here, which they can get from beach, which is zip lines and ropes in very close proximity, where they can swing much easier from one to another. But also, what they're going to really like is this, where they have these ropes, these drapes kind of coming across that they can walk across, so they can look at players from above. And this is a really good use of big space like this. And they've got unique assets here as well, and there's a lot of things that encourage climbing upwards, and obviously players are going to love that. And little peeky holes, little cubby holes for people to be in, and lots of zip lines up high where people can try and climb out the map. And people are going to love this. Absolutely love this. So I think this is a competitor with Beach Map. This has a lot more space than Beach Map. Beach Map is about the same size, but you can get around Beach Map much quicker, I think, than you can here. It takes much longer. I would say it's about just as good as Beach Map, maybe a little bit worse than Beach Map, just because it has less mechanics. Like, it doesn't have the volleyball, it doesn't have anything that's really unique to this map. A really good example of a space that has been well utilized is this map, Trick or Treat. And the reason why is because your main goal is to tap on the front door of houses that are lit up before these flying skeletons get to you. It consistently brings a pace to the game that you have to keep up with and keep up with and keep up with, and that's what makes it really fun. And I would recommend this completely, and I think this should be taken inspiration of in future games in Gorilla Tag. And the map is not too big, it's enough to kind of fill in the space, to have the ghosts, to have the space to run around. It's all kind of it's just good. And they've used the new mechanics, and that mechanics is by pressing on the house, and the pressing on the house of your hand, which is the hand-eye coordination. And then you've got to run away from something and not get caught. And that is obviously more hand-eye coordination. People love the stimulation. They love having something to do, having a goal, or having a reward, or having a destination. And I think that's something that needs to be kept in mind with future Gorilla Tag developments. Another thing that I think would be really good for Gorilla Tag is a post box in Stump and a catalogue. So the catalogue would be like here, right beside the computer, and then you can flip the pages with your actual hands in the game, and then there's different items, and you can select add to basket, and then once you add them to the basket, they'll come up on here, and then you can press enter to purchase using your shiny rocks. And then the post box, which could be like in that corner over there, or it could be even outside of the stump, it could be anywhere basically. The post box would come the next day with the items that you ordered using your shiny rocks, as well as obviously still having those different places that in different maps where items are scattered and for sale, because it's going to make people feel like they have more value. That concludes my video. So thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.